Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into a really fascinating essay today called Time and Prayer, along with a stunning companion poem, A Conversation of the Heart. So let's just jump right in. We're going to unpack that very modern dilemma we all know too well, relentlessly rushing through life. We'll look at how the ritual of prayer, specifically looking at it through the lens of namaz, salat, or salah, serves as this profound anchor in our daily grind. If you've ever felt like your days are just, blurring together into one giant blob, this explainer is going to give you a seriously powerful new framework for how you view your time.
Let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. It's one we almost never ask ourselves when the rushing finally stops, right? Like when the evening hits and the day's endless demands finally fade away, you probably ask, okay, what did I actually get done today? But how often do you sit back and ask, where did I go today? The essay points out that our mornings usually start with a crazy rush, this intense sense of urgency. And then comes the heavy weight of the day, the distractions, the constant pulling in a million directions. And honestly, before you even realize it, the day is completely over. The text hits the nail on the head as to why this happens. Check out this quote. "The one who is inside the flow rarely perceives the flow itself." When you're caught inside that current of daily life, you're really just moving. Without stopping, without reflecting, often without even noticing, you're just moving through life. The days blur into one another, the hours dissolve so quietly, and literally a whole lifetime slowly diminishes. And the crazy part? Most of the time, we aren't even aware of it, because we're way too busy just trying to keep our heads above water to actually see the river we're drifting in.
And this brings us to the crux of the whole problem. The crucial difference between merely moving through your daily to-do list and actually having a deliberate, conscious direction. Movement is simply activity, right? It's firing off a flood of emails, mindlessly scrolling, playing calendar Tetris all afternoon. But direction? Direction requires orientation. It requires actually knowing where you are heading. The essay argues, quite brilliantly, that just because you are moving, it absolutely doesn't mean you have a direction.
To interrupt all that aimless drifting, we need to explore what the author calls the ultimate pause. Section 1. The power to stop.
The text defines prayer not just as some religious duty you have to check off a list, but as an actual structural mechanism built right into the day. It's a deliberate pause. It's a complete reorientation. It's a return to your center. At each appointed time throughout the day, this ritual essentially shouts a single incredibly powerful word to the human spirit: stop.
And when that call to stop arrives, it's asking you to take these 3 vital, actionable steps. First, stop and step out of the current. You literally have to actively pull yourself out of the flow. Second, stop and look at yourself. Assess your state. And third, stop and remember what you are actually doing. The text emphasizes that when you never pause, you lose yourself, period. But when you finally stop, that's when you begin to remember.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that this intentional pause catches you right in the act of drifting away. Throughout the day, as we just deal with life, we get so scattered. Our minds fragment into 100 different pieces. Our hearts get incredibly heavy with stress and worry. But prayer acts as this mechanism that gathers up what has been scattered. Every single time, it calls you back to your center, reminding you that you aren't just existing. You are meant to be oriented.
Now let's map this onto the chronological journey of a single day. Section 2. Rhythm of the day.
This timeline right here maps the 5 daily Islamic prayers directly to our internal emotional states as the day rolls on. And the source text outlines this journey so beautifully. Dawn is a beginning, bringing that fresh awareness of a newly given life. Midday is all about remembering, right in the middle of the intensity and forgetfulness of the workday. Afternoon brings the weight of passing time, kind of that quiet approach of finitude. Sunset represents closure, a time to reflect on what's past. And finally, night is about surrender, just letting go. It shows us that prayer doesn't just slice up our time into segments, it actually gives that time meaning. Now think about this profound contrast. In our modern world, we have an absolute obsession with filling our time. We pack our schedules, we double book our calendars, we try to squeeze every last drop of productivity out of every single second. But the essay argues that our real need isn't to fill time, but to read it rightly. Time isn't just something that passes, it's something entrusted to us. Every act of prayer interrupts that frantic flow and offers the possibility to return to oneself. It teaches us how to truly read our time.
And understanding how to read time naturally leads us to shedding the weight of the day. Section 3. Letting go of control.
The essay really zeroes in on the physical movements of prayer, particularly bowing and prostration. When a person performs these acts, they aren't just physically lowering their body to the floor.
No, they are actively releasing their physical and mental weight. They are setting down all those accumulated burdens they've been carrying around since the morning. They are realigning their place within existence. So often our deepest exhaustion comes from trying to control absolutely everything around us. But this text suggests that accepting your place and physically letting go, it actually strengthens you. It doesn't weaken you. It makes you lighter.
Which brings us to this wonderfully grounding realization. You are not the master of the flow. You can't control the chaotic river of life, the unexpected events, the endless demands of the world. But you are entirely responsible for your direction. Recognizing that distinction is a real game changer. It brings this profound balance, transforming you from someone who is just blindly moving through the week into someone who is living with acute awareness. You learn how to stop, and most importantly, you learn how not to be lost.
Let's bring all these ideas together by turning inward, using that beautiful companion poem from the source material. Section 4, Returning to the Center. These opening lines are incredibly powerful. All I claimed as mine was fleeting, a trust within my hand, not to rule, but to be faithful. This I came to understand. It's a stark reminder that the things we try so desperately to control, to hoard, to claim as our own, they're fleeting. They are just a trust placed in our hands for a very short time. The realization is that our role isn't to rule over these things with an iron fist, but simply to be faithful to them. It perfectly mirrors that whole concept of letting go of total control.
This next part builds brilliantly on our emotional state, capturing a psychological shift I think almost all of us have experienced. I counted all that I was missing, and my heart grew tight inside. Then I noticed just one blessing, and something in me opened wide. When we get swept up in the frantic flow of life, it is so easy to fixate on what we don't have. We count what we're missing, and exactly as the poem says, our hearts grow tight. But that simple, intentional pause to notice just one blessing, it creates an immediate shift. It replaces the exhaustion of lack with the expanse of freedom you find in gratitude.
Ultimately, this is the core message of both the essay and the poem. I ran along life's endless road. From myself I turned away. Then a call descended in my heart. I returned to where I stay. We spend so much time running along life's endless road that we actually turn away from ourselves. We forget who we are. The call to pause, the literal call to prayer, is that divine intervention that interrupts our frantic running. It descends right into the heart and brings us back to our truest center, back to where we actually stay.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this final lingering thought. The text states that one who does not know how to stop cannot find their way. So the next time you find yourself caught in the rushing current of your daily schedule, when the days start to blur and the exhaustion really sets in, I highly encourage you to pause. Step out of the flow for just a moment and ask yourself, where did you come from and where are you going? Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I really hope this helps you find your direction in the flow.